If you look at couples that are facing infertility, the stats are broadly 1/3 of that infertility is coming from male factor infertility. So we've seen sperm counts decline by 50 to 60% over the past 40 years. Yeah, it's scary.
Health, fitness, mindset, nutrition. Live better and longer. I'm Saad Alam, and let's hone in. We continue to live our life like there are no consequences.
Correct.
We are just
Correct.
in New York City, perfect example where you and I are right now.
Right.
To be 35 and to not be in a relationship and to not even be thinking about children yet
Right.
is completely normal.
Right.
Now, the scary thing is, for women, 35 is considered a geriatric pregnancy.
Geriatric pregnancy.
And life's dirty little secret is we still feel like we're in our 20s in our head
Absolutely.
at 35.
Especially,
We're children.
Especially New York.
Especially
Makes you
New
feel
York.
5 to 10 years younger than you actually are.
And so, like, the gravity of the problem is, one, very real. No one's talking about it. Or I should say, people are starting to talk about it. It's incredibly stigmatized.
Yeah.
So I guess, talk to me about the stigma that you have faced when you talk to men about this problem.
Yeah, so let's go back to eggs.
Yep.
Because we always say it takes 2 to tango. If you want to have a healthy baby, you need a healthy sperm and a healthy egg. Now, 10 years ago, egg freezing. How common is egg freezing today? I mean, how many of your friends, or at least
every
people in
one
our
of my
social circles,
friends talk about it.
yeah,
They're doing
either,
it.
either doing it or thinking about doing it
Yep.
or saving up to do it, or they're going to join an employer who offers benefits so that they can do it. I mean, this is increasingly common. And you take a look at that, and we forget that as of 2013, the ASRM, the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, considered egg freezing an experimental procedure.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. 10 years ago. Look at the change over the past 10 years. This is the path that sperm freezing is going down, right? So, I mean, we really are, on the coattails of the egg freezing and kind of all this talk about female fertility. But what we say is, well, this view that fertility is a women's issue is outdated, right? And I'll start with that, because if you look at couples that are facing infertility, the stats are broadly 1/3 of that infertility is coming from male factor infertility. 1/3 of that infertility is coming from joint or unexplained infertility, and 1/3 is coming from female infertility. So what that tells us is, broadly speaking, infertility is just as likely to be from the male or sperm-producing partner as their counterpart. And so you put that together and you say, okay, well, we always thought that men can have kids whenever they want, right? Which you do see celebrities having kids into their 70s, right? We think that fertility is just an issue that women have to think about because they have a steeper biological clock. We think that men don't have to worry about all of this stuff because we're just going around, popping sperm off left, right, and center. But the reality is quite different. The reality is quite different, especially to your earlier point, as we're trying to have kids later and later in life.
The fact that a third of infertility is related to men
Yeah.
is, I would argue, one of the least known fact
Yeah.
for men
Yes.
as they're aging or
Yes.
even at our age. I would imagine men probably think 5% of infertility is.
So we actually just published a huge report, and we co-launched it with Carrot, which is one of our fertility benefits provider partners. And we surveyed a nationally representative sample of about 3,000 Americans to learn, what do Americans know about sperm? Okay. What percentage of men, if you had to guess, know nothing about sperm? Like nothing.
Well,
yeah.
I got you.
Nothing educational.
See, the thing is, the way you asked the question though
Yeah.
makes me think it's a much larger number. But if I had to have said, finger to the air, someone off the street asking me,
Yeah.
20%, 30%, 70%. Okay.
100%. We found that about 50% of men, American men, know basically nothing about their sperm. They don't know what affects the quality. They don't know how to improve the quality. The vast majority, by the way, had no idea that any sort of hormones or hormone replacement can actually negatively impact the fertility. Their assumption was the opposite. They assume that taking testosterone, for example, will actually increase your sperm count. Makes a ton of sense when you think about it. You think about testosterone and vitality and how it makes you feel. And so you would assume that actually that's going to increase your sperm count or sperm quality. The reality is the total opposite. And men just don't know that.
we have to spend a ton of time up front with guys basically saying, do you plan to get pregnant at any point soon or in the future?
Right.
And they always say why. And we say, well, there's a couple routes.
Yeah.
You can take fertility medications to improve your endogenous testosterone quality.
Clomid and-
That'll actually help. That'll actually make you have children faster.
Yeah.
But if you take testosterone, exogenous testosterone, it then actually shuts it down over the course of a long time. And you're right, it's they're interlinked in a very interesting manner that most people don't know about.